This is episode 170 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dathomir Malaris, and today I'm joined by Marcel. Fart jokes are comedy gold? Manzano?
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine when it was saying, have I ever told you the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Gold.
Boo.
Boo, all the Canadians over there
Boo.
know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I gotta fix something on my side. That was so lame. That wasn't even a
I
dad.
told you from the start, I had nothing funny nor witty to say.
That wasn't even a dad joke. It was a grandpa joke. What is wrong with you?
Your grandpa joke is a grandpa joke.
Do I become the bad guy? Haywood.
If you can't beat them, join them?
And Ryan, just over 1 month away till we all squad up. Staniszewski.
That's right. Squad up together, be in a squadron, shoot down your enemies if you're Empire or New Republic, whichever you choose.
Pew, pew, pew. By the way, if you want to get some hype for squadrons, the Alphabet Squadron books are great. Like, oh man, this is going to be awesome. Fodder. It's great. Yeah, super excited for that. Now, this episode is the ad-free replay of this episode. It's brought to you by our patrons. Thank you guys so much. If you want to be a part of the largest group of supporters and receive quarterly gifts sent from us to you, please feel free to visit patreon.com/Gold Squadron or type !Patreon in the Twitch chat if you are watching live. Thank you to those. Now, let's move on to our announcements and news for today. And the biggest one is the fact that next weekend is Dathomir, all right, is coming up here. We are only a few days away by the time some of you guys are listening to this. And for those of you who are playing, remember, the player meeting starts at 9 a.m. London time. Competitors should use the time converter that is linked in their ticket PDF to confirm what time that is. Tickets are still available if you want to play. Right now we have 125 people signed up. Or let me correct that. We have 125 people who have finished the registration process. We actually have more. We have close to 140 tickets sold. So we just got to get those other people following through the rest of the steps. So make sure you guys get in your list ASAP. Technically they're due on Wednesday, but because we are, of course, accepting people all the way up until Friday to join the tournament, they'll be open by then. But something is expected to be there by Wednesday. Put something in there by Wednesday. Okay, but today our first topic that we're talking about is the Shuttle article that got dropped here last week. This was on the 26th, or sorry, this week. It was on the 26th, and a bunch of new cards were revealed. And what we're going to do today is we're not only going to go over the new cards, we're also going to take the opportunity to go ahead and review some of the stuff that we've seen already, and we're going to create a tier list on how we think some of these will shake out. Of course, some of you out there are going like, but Dion, we don't know the points. I know. That's the fun of it. That's the fun of it. We're going to take some guesses and see where we land and how our opinions on the tier list actually adjusts once we see the points. That's the fun. So here, let's go ahead and jump into it. Will, I want you to take our first card here, Commander Malaris. This is a two-sided card. Tell me a little bit about this very sinister-looking lady.
All right, so Malaris. How'd you say it?
Malaris?
Am I saying it wrong?
Malaris? You said Malaris. I mean, tomato.
Well,
it's all right.
You're from Chicago, so Malaris. Anyways, setup. Flip the side face up. It's two-sided, as Dion just said. While a friendly, non-limited ship at range 0 to 1 performs a primary attack, that ship may reroll one blank result. If it does, and the attack does not hit, you must flip this card. So let's break that down. So non-limited is generic pilots.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to. And this is a crew slot, so it's most likely going to be on the side shuttle mixed with a bunch of Typhos, or TISFs, something that you could spam a lot of to get maximum efficiency. Good thing about this is that it does work if the crew carrier is a generic. That's where that range 0 comes into play. Then you can utilize it in that way. And it's a numeral blank result, which is good. Double modifying is very good. But most of those ships, I think the cheapest is the Interceptor is the cheapest spammable ship with 3 attack dice. So most likely it's going to trigger at some point, and you can flip it. Go ahead.
Flip. Commander
And it's gonna flip
Malaris
to the other.
perfected. Perfected.
So then it's stuck now on this side. After you miss the attack, utilizing a reroll. Oh, sorry. Can you flip back? Sorry.
Sure, no problem.
Wait, I should have this card pulled up. Flip back one more time. It does say that ship may reroll a blank. So if it's like range 3, obstructed, something like that, you might not want to use it if you're just going to waste the reroll anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so now I'll go ahead and flip it. Just want to make sure that the must is a flip, but the reroll is a may. Anyways, so now let's choose flipped after you miss the attack. While you perform an attack, you being the ship she's on, if the defender is in your bullseye, you must convert all eyeball results to hit results and gain 1 stress token. Then, if you have 2 or more stress tokens, suffer 1 damage. So it works from being a kind of swarm-based range 1 card into essentially having a focus anytime someone is in your bullseye. Now, I do think this is pretty restrictive. The shuttles and the side shuttles and the Upsilon shuttles, the crew carriers we currently have in this faction, aren't normally great at getting bullseyes, though the free focus modifier is nice. Let's see, so it says, and you can get up to 2 stress tokens before you actually start getting penalties. So I do like this, but I'll be honest with you, I think I might like this a little bit better on the Upsilon than the side shuttle. Because I'm not excited about investing points into a support ship with only 2 attack dice.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that you have that expertise-ish ability on this side. Now, would we agree? Oops, sorry about that, everybody. Would we agree that using so the front side has that may condition? Like you don't have to get the reroll, but if you use it, make sure you're using it on attacks where you're probably gonna hit, right? Like there's definitely a risk there, because if you set up this big attack and you got 4 generics out there or 5 all in a kill box on one ship, you got to make sure you take probably that like your best shot first. I don't know how do you decide that shot order? I think it's actually a pretty interesting interaction here, because you could lose your whole plan going into it.
Yeah, because if you're shooting, a 3 agility ship and it just rolls 3 natural on the first attack, you have to flip it before all the other ships will attack. I don't think that this card's going to be very expensive. What do you guys think?
Not with the 0 to 1 restriction range.
Yeah.
Right. And primary weapon requirement as well. So
primary requirement. This is one of the few rerolls that we see Malaris have that isn't the must part. So that is big keyword that you can choose when you want to reroll. There is potentially, depending on the cost of this, a sneaky play for this card. The Upsilon Pilot Major Strident, if you recall. Every positive or friendly effect is reached out to range 3. So this card goes from 0 to 1 to 0 to 3 for the front side ability. And as you mentioned, Upsilons feel like a better use of this card. So when you flip it around and something ends up in your bullseye, it's going to feel a lot better or help support a better attack for the reroll on the front side.
Yeah, I agree completely. Except for, unfortunately, Strident can't use the front side because he's a limited pilot. but I still think that's the best home for him. I think that this is the first upgrade that
Striden's like, yeah, this is for me.
Yeah,
I can do
I'm
something
trying to
with
think
this.
of, like, other than coordinating, I don't think there's another ability that he's really taking advantage of. So
Agreed. So here's my question to you guys: what tier, S, A, B, or C, do we think this will end up at? What's our prediction? Will, it's your card. What do you think?
C
C tier.
C play, but no, C is in cat.
So yeah, C.
Okay. Yeah, it could see play in very specific builds, but it's not going to be like the thing that brings non-limited ships back to the First Order.
Back to the First Order, I think that's what's been working best for me.
Well, you know.
All right. Well, that's where Will wants to put it. We do have some B's. The opinion seems to be of the chat. By the way, if you guys are watching live, let us know, where do you think these cards are going to end up on those tiers. Give us the arguments. That's the fun part of doing this live. All right, let's move on to our next card, and that is Commander Pyre. Ryan, take it.
So Commander Pyre was something that was shown at the Gen Con live stream. But it's a card that I'm actually very much in favor for, and I think I convinced you otherwise on one of the parts that is better than the other. But it's a unique crew card. After placing forces, choose an enemy ship. It gains 2 stress tokens. And then while you defend, being the ship carrying Commander Pyre, if the attacker is stressed, you may reroll 1 defense dice. I believe when this was discussed originally, people were looking at the second clause as it might be its best part of its effect. But I think there's potential, depending on the matchup and what you're playing and how you use it correctly, that the first clause could be more game affecting if used right. Throwing 2 stress on the right ship denies a flanker its key maneuvers or repositions it may want to use. I don't think this is going to be best. Like, everyone's trying to, like, how do we Dormitz this to take immediate use from it? Like, that's probably too gimmicky. The faction already has silencers and tie BAs for 5 straight boosts to put pressure if you want to do that. I think the issue is it's because it's potentially matchup dependent, and that the first clause may have literally no effect in the game at all, because someone might decide to take that ship and just do a couple 1 straights because they're blue, or a couple 2 straights on their board edge. It can have a large effect, but in some cases it won't. So I don't know where it could land on the point scale. I'm kind of hoping it's under 5, but it probably should be above 3. So I'm like 4, but maybe that's too. It's tough to say for sure.
All right, where do you think it's going to end up?
Tier wise, I think it has potential to be A, but it's probably going to feel more like a B tier because there are other crew cards that are more important that are either exist now or are coming in this pack. And I get the weird feeling that this card will be a bit overpriced.
Just because of the fear of double stress?
I think maybe they might be concerned with Pyre and Phasma on the same ship.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Providing the defensive rerolls maybe too often. And stressing a ship early. I just kind of think from their perspective, they might think that this is like a 5 or 6 point card, and I don't think I'd ever take it in that cost.
Interesting. So I'm trying to think, what meta relevant pilots does this really hurt besides Jendon? I know it hurts Jendon, right? Because he locked down some of the target lock shenanigans early on, and if you have some of those,
I think it hurts any Aether Sprite, because Aether Sprites, both 7B and CLT, love using that 5 straight and then booster barrel roll on the flanking maneuvers to get move in.
Okay.
Their blues don't necessarily support that very well. If they have to deal with that, that halts it a bit.
All right.
Star Vipers was mentioned in the chat. That's a good one. Phantoms. You can't cloak
For a couple turns, yeah.
Turn.
That's true. B-Wings, actually, I don't think that's a huge deal at the beginning of the game because they're usually just doing one straights anyway. But the possibility of having better defense against B-Wings that are always stressing them, that seems like that could be relevant if we continue to see Braylon and Braylon now is mostly what you're seeing.
Yeah. I'm like, we know rerolls are good defensively. We see that on Boba, but the Z Shuttle isn't exactly a defensive powerhouse or something that I'm looking to invest points in defending that much. It's more of a target priority issue. Like, here's my support ship doing these things to support the rest of my list. Are you going to go after the support ship, or are you going to go after everything else that's actually the fighting ships of the squad? If Pyre costs too much, the reroll on defense like may be overvalued in that, because I don't care that much about that defensive reroll as I do maybe the setup effect.
Cool.
But maybe I'm underestimating it a little bit on that regard.
Underestimate my power.
It's definitely a tough card to nail down what it's going to really do and earn its value.
All right. Okay. Well, there's Commander Pyre. We're going to put him in that A tier and see where he ends up. Now, Marcel, you get the one that I think most people are talking about here, and that's Agent Terex. Another two-sided card, First Order crew only.
All right. The front of the card. Setup. Equip this side face up and place 3 calculate tokens on this card. At the start of the engagement phase, you may choose a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 and remove 1 calculate token from this card to have that ship gain a matching token. Then, if there are no calculate tokens left on this card, flip it. Then you flip it.
Flip.
Yep. I'm going off the...
Yeah, you're fine. Just give it a second.
During the system phase, roll 1... Oh, that's Cyborg Terex. First question, is he from... I haven't seen all the cartoons. Which cartoon is he from?
He's in the comic books.
Oh, comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. During the system phase, roll 1 attack die. On a hit or a crit result, gain 1 calculate token, otherwise gain 1 jam token. And then as an action, you transfer 1 calculate token or 1 jam token to a ship at range 0 to 3. Yeah, I love this so much. I mean, it's basically 3 force whenever you need it, followed by either a free force, calculate representing a force, of course, you can use it to change 1 die. And also you get the potential, you get a 50-50 shot. You either get a calculate token or you get a jam token. And the jam token, you get to jam anybody at range. Well, I guess in this point you don't really jam 0 to 3, you jam 1 to 3. Because if you're at 0, you're likely bumped and you are not taking an action. But still, you get to jam up to range 3, which is so exciting. Yeah, and I think, where, I don't know, I remember we talked about this a couple weeks back, and originally what I said is I would burn through those calculates as fast as I can to get to the jam, and I just want to jam people, and then Ryan, Will, or both were saying like, nah, you probably want to hold on to that, like use it as a force whenever you need it. You're gonna bump or something like that. Do it that way. Either way you use it, I mean, there's no negative, there's no downside to this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is literally no downside. I mean, the only potential downside that can possibly come of this is if you have it on a low agility ship and you move and there's nothing range 0 to 3 for you to pass off a jam token, and then stuff that's higher initiative comes into range and you don't have a token to defend. But that's unlikely. Yeah, this is just so good. I I would imagine this to come in at the 12 to 16 point.
Yeah, I feel like this card.
I see Ryan giving me the I don't know about that, but it's gonna be.
Well,
it's got to be pricey.
I think your reaction is the fact that from everything we've seen, it is the most obviously good out of them all. Where you look at it and you go, if you know anything about this game, these abilities, 2 thumbs up. Like it's gonna do some work. And the question is, where does FFG value not only this force-like ability that's there for those 3 turns, but also the flexibility that you have in there in order to dish out the jams. Like it's gonna be interesting for sure. It might be one of those where it starts overcosted and then slowly starts coming down till people start actually taking a serious look at it.
Yeah, and somebody was saying like, oh, another downside is if you bump. Well, not really, because if you jam yourself and you bump, you're not taking an action anyway, so you don't have any token, unless you had a token from before, but in that case, the jam would have gotten rid of your old token, so bumping is, I don't think that's
irrelevant. You're like, I jam myself,
Yeah, it's like, I jam myself, boop-de-doo, I'm not taking actions anyway. So, yeah, and this one, as far as the I don't know if anybody else wants to talk about this one, but grading wise, I would throw that in an S, unless it's pointed out. I mean, unless it's pointed out of an S.
Right.
The ability is an S.
Yeah, the only thing I would have to say about it is that you mentioned like the scenario to where you got the jam and there's no enemies in range 3. This has to go onto a ship that has a crew slot, and all the crew slots in the First Order have coordinate. So hopefully, if there's no friendlies in range 3, if you do jam yourself, you can just coordinate anyways. You won't need your action.
Yeah, I agree. Terex is definitely S tier. And the only reason why I kind of like not sure about your thought on the point cost is right now Emperor Palpatine is 11 points, I believe. Granted, he has 2 crew slots. I understand that. But he is a force charge you can use in every single turn and when you're modifying. So that's more knowledge you have to use that. Now, granted, obviously, Terex can, at the start of engagement, which is still a lot of information, give out a calculate, which is like a force, but that is only assigned to that one ship for that round. But Terex being a single crew and having this very powerful jam effect on the other side that isn't guaranteed to happen. You do still have to roll a dice where you could just get a calculate token to where my guess what you do is you do the reverse. You keep the calculate and then coordinate other people might be how you use Terex Cyborg on the other side if you don't get the jam. So I guess I ask you, do you think Terex is worth more or less than Emperor Palpatine right now?
Are you saying Imperial Emperor Palpatine?
Yes.
And I would say he's worth more only because they're not competing against each other in the same faction. So in the Imperial faction, there's more options in the Empire. The Empire has more valid options with Fifth Brother and Palpatine. Like there's other options, and the First Order I don't think has these options, and the First Order also doesn't have any really good, doesn't have any Force users, so it doesn't have those things that the Empire already has. So this is an introduction to a faction where Emperor Palpatine is an addition to things that already exist within the Empire.
Okay. Will, do you have any thought on if you would value this more or less than something to the effect that Emperor Palpatine in Empire is right now?
Replicates the Force, is not the Force. I could say my guess is definitely under 10 points. This would be a single-digit card. But, I mean, 9 is still single digits.
Yeah, because I was thinking like Agent Terex feels like better than K2SO crew with a slightly similar effect, but maybe comparable to Palpatine. So low double digit, high single digit probably. Dion, chat says you're muted.
You've been muted the whole time.
Oh, super strong. Okay, let's try that one more time. Sorry, I was muted because I was typing. And sorry, sorry about that. Okay, one more time. Agent Terex pilot now. It reads, during setup, after placing forces, choose any number of equipped illicit upgrades and equip them to friendly TIE FO or TIE SF fighters. Each ship can be assigned only one illicit this way. This pilot does have 3, at least starting right now, 3 illicit slots, and then it says the end of the game, return all illicit upgrades to their original ship. So it goes back to this ship, and they do it this way so that the illicits are, you're paying the cost for them up front. Now the question came up. Somebody wanted to know, could you use inertial dampeners to could you pass over inertial dampeners to quick draw and use inertial dampeners effect of spending a shield, which is how it reads on inertial dampeners, and does that count as losing a shield on quick draw? For galaxies, the answer is no, because of the difference between place and. Thank you, Marcel, for subbing, gifting some subs to the channel. And the difference between the words place and lose in the rules reference. That's the only reason we're going there, and that was decided by our marshal, which is why we made a video on it. And if FFG changes, which I will tell you, I wouldn't be surprised because of how fluid they can be with language, but because those were game terms, that's the reason why we're ruling it that way. Just so y'all know. Yeah. So
there will be blood.
There will be blood. I will say I don't know if the combo is good. Now here is the my opinion on the effect. I think this is cool. I think it gives some really great options to First Order, and of course, as more illicit upgrades come out, it gives you more possibilities for more shenanigans you can do. Some of them that come to mind are Dead Man Switch. That always seems interesting when it comes to if you're going to be having a lot of generics in there. TIE FOs with Dead Man Switch, if they're going to be popping, seems like it could be cool. The inertial dampeners seems like it's going to definitely be one that people try at least to use in the sense of the tactical movement of that seems really great. Where I think it's going to actually land overall, I think we'll probably end up somewhere in the B. I think it's more, it's cheeky. I don't know if it's good. I think it's interesting. People will have some fun list building. We're definitely going to be somebody who see people who do cool combos, and it's something that I definitely will be playing with during a League Night stream or something like that. But I don't know if it's going to really, make a big impact. So I'm putting that one in B. Any argument there?
No, and somebody pointed out you can only have one of each. You can't equip multiple.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah, correct.
So you wouldn't be spamming any of them. And contraband, yeah, I would probably do Dead Man, contraband, and probably cloak. I'm sure somebody in the first put
Dead
a
Man, contraband, inertial bang.
Yeah, put something fun. But I think this will probably be probably a B. Sorry.
Yep, somewhere around there. All right, cool.
Does it have to meet the requirements of equipping it? I guess is my question. You mentioned cloaking device. Can I cloak my Upsilon?
It says TIE FO or TIE SF only.
Oh, I'm a big dingus. That's right. Sorry, I got so excited about cloaking device.
What if you could cloak anything? What do you do in cloaking an Upsilon shuttle and not Kylo then?
Or Hollow. That's right.
Yeah.
Someone had mentioned it was like, ooh, cloaking Hollow. That's right. My personal favorite. Big shout out to Tina and Dead Man Switch. Oh man, that's gonna be the best combination ever. The Tina, for people who don't know, is TN3465, and says while another friendly ship performs an attack, if you are range 0 to 1 of the defender, you may suffer 1 crit to change one of the attacker's results to a crit result. So if you won't kill my Dead Man Switch, Tina, I'll do it for you. So
I'm the captain. Awesome.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with Agent Terex pilot, the reason why it's B tier, is because Agent Terex crew exists.
There it is. There it is. All right, next, Commander Malaris, the pilot. Take it, Will.
All right. This is the I-5, which I-5 coordinate. I always got to keep an eye out for. Anyways, while a friendly ship at range 0 to 2 performs a primary attack, if it has one or more blank results, that ship must gain 1 strain to reroll 1 blank result if able. If able, meaning something like the defender made you reroll it first, and then it was a blank. You wouldn't be able to reroll it then. So, this is significantly better for Swarm helping than the crew member, in my opinion. And as we've seen with Finn, low initiative strain when you are attacking doesn't mean as much. So you can, especially, man, I'm really thinking of SFs with this, right? SFs have that rear arc. They don't need to clear the strain as much because they do have the 6 health on their ship. So I think that this is going to be a better use of supporting generics and then maybe say like an ace or something who would also benefit from it.
I was thinking...
Yeah, this is FO 100%. They've got the dial and they've got the initiative 1. So at initiative 1, if they take that strain, you're shooting last. So there's no consequence for taking the strain to get the reroll, and they've got the dial to clear it. So, I mean, yeah, I think this fits really well. I don't know how much this is costed, but if you can get this, like if this comes in at let's say 50 points, you can still. That's high, I know. Even if it comes in at 50 points, that you can still get, what is that, 6 more TIFOs, and you have 6 TIFOs with reroll. And so that's a 7-ship list, on one of them being this monstrosity.
I'll be honest, I don't think 50 points is high for this, because honestly, I've been comparing the Side Shuttle to the U-Wing the entire time. But I guess U-Wings do have 3 attack dice. So, okay, I can see it.
Yeah, U-Wings have the pivot. They have 3 attack dice. Yeah, I kind of struggle to see these guys hit 50 because that's a big deal.
Well,
Jendon's 49. Again, I know I'm comparing it to a different faction, and we talked about costing by faction can be a factor, but man, there are other ships that are worth around 50 support-wise that are noticeably better. And notice that also Malaris, that card works on herself too. So at I-5, she has a blank. She does need to re-roll her own dice and take a strain, which is lowering her board staying power as well.
One of the pilots that's this being compared to quite a bit is Howlrunner, just because it has that re-roll ability. Howlrunner in a TIE fighter, again, I know it's cross-faction, is 46 points. Does function a little bit differently in the sense that this is a medium ship and you have this negative effect here. So is it more or less expensive than Howlrunner? Because we don't see Howlrunner played anymore, really, because of the price going up. Also, there was also the thing where she got bumped out of hyperspace, so people just forgot about the TIE Swarm. But I don't know. More or less than 46. What do you think?
I think about.
I'll probably say more because this is I-5 coordinate, which could really help the FO faction. I mean, you got Hollow, Kylo, Von Rog. You got all those super aces who would love a nice coordinate with board information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the reason why it could be higher is more so what Will mentioned, the coordinating at I-5. It is an I-5 ship. It has a Howl Runner type effect. I'm not sure how much they factor in Howl Runner's cost with the fact that Iden Versio exists. So, like, that does take an entire attack off the board in that type of general list that you would see Howl Runner in. I'm thinking a little under, personally.
Yeah,
I just think this platform, even though 2 shields, 5 hull, 2 agility, it's not really supplying much on the attack itself. It is almost a pure support ship.
Yeah, I'm just not thinking you're using this with any aces. This is only generics because you do not want to strain your Hollow, your Von Reg, your Kylo. So if you're putting this on the board with anything other than I1s and I2s, you're probably going to be making bad choices.
It's very true.
Well, as long as it's under 50, you can run, 6 I1 foes with this?
Yep.
But that's what I'd be reaching for first. I like it. Next, we have Gideon Hask. Take it, Ryan.
So with Gideon, this was actually the very first ever Z Shuttle card viewed. Is a very similar type of swarm support effect. He is I4. He is while you or a friendly small ship at range 0 to 2 performs a primary attack against a damaged defender. If the attacker rolled 2 or fewer attack dice, it may gain 1 strain to roll 1 additional attack dice. So what's key here, and don't forget this for people who want to use Gideon, is you roll those 2 attack dice first. And you can see what the results are before you decide to take the strain and roll the 1 additional attack dice. So you have a little more information if the attack is already going good or bad based upon the modifiers or lack of modifier you may already have or don't have. It is harder to trigger because you have to attack someone who is damaged. So versus Malaris, while her effect is more likely to apply the negative because it is a must, hers doesn't require the enemy ship to be in any certain status, whether damaged or a certain token on them. Both the same range, 0 to 2. Gideon is I4, so 1 less on the helpful coordinate. But just like Malaris, the effect can also work on the pilot itself. I think tier-wise, probably just in the same tier as Malaris. They have different types of effects. This one's more spiky, has a little more control to it, but it won't trigger as often.
Actually, we forgot to ask. Will, where did you want to place Malaris in tier-wise?
Ooh, a strong B. Strong B. B+.
All right. And Ryan, where do you want to put Gideon?
Gideon's probably around the same, somewhere between B+, A-. It's like, could be A, but a lot of it, it depends. The effects are solid. There are negatives. They're mostly mitigated by ships that are I1 to deal less with the strain. As we know, the cadets have done very well. Base SF Zetas have also done well. But there are other I1s in the meta that can also hurt these guys back if they end up shooting first anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine this guy and just double straining shit yourself sometimes? But this one is a maze, so you shoot, and if you don't re-roll, then you add a die, and you roll, and if you get a blank, you take a strain and you roll again. Like it allows the
flying them both together.
Yeah, basically you're turning your TIE foes at range 2 and 3. They're rolling 3 dice with re-rolls, and then at range 1 they're still rolling there. So it adds a bit of punch to them. It turns them into drones, basically, because they'll be at 2 agility. But for the most part, I mean, they've got the potential to put some serious hurt.
That's hilarious.
if you keep something nearby closer, range 0 to 1, there's nothing stopping you from putting Commander Malaris' crew on Gideon.
True. Get all the mods. Get them all. Gotta catch them all. All right. And we have the generic. Marcel, I won't make you do the generic, mostly because it's kind of boring. It's initiative 2. We don't know the cost. The cost is what will really determine it. I'm just going to go ahead and take it because it's going to be a crew carrier that can coordinate. That's probably a little bit cheaper. We're just going to set it at B, set it and forget it, and move on to some of the tech cards in here that I think are really exciting because they can be used in at least one other faction at the moment, and that's in the Resistance. So we have the automated target priority. Take it away.
I think you were muted.
I was not.
Okay. While you perform an attack, you must choose a defender at the closest valid attack range. After you perform an attack that missed, place 1 calculate token on this card. Before you engage, you may remove 1 calculate token from this card to gain a matching token. Well, let me read that one more time. So you guys talk about it. I'm gonna focus on it again because that made no sense.
Okay, so let's it's 3 different paragraphs, right? So you get that first part. While you perform an attack, you must choose a defender at the closest valid attack range. Now let's talk about what does closest valid attack range mean. And here there's 2 possibilities here. Because we need to ask D what his decision is as the marshal. He gets the decision because the question is, if I choose a weapon, let's say like a missile that is only range 2 to 3, and I have an enemy at range 1, does it force me to fire my primary if I have a lock at range 2 to 3 on somebody else?
You choose your weapon. You choose your weapon before you check range.
Choose the defender.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. That's how I read it. But there are people who are arguing the other side because it says while you perform an attack, and all the things are underneath that heading of while you perform an attack. I agree with you. I'm giving the other side of the argument.
Got it. But I think that one we've already discussed from the. There was other cards on other interactions where that was already discussed. I think it was with Biggs where it was originally brought up. Like if Biggs doesn't have a target lock and you choose somebody else, then you're gonna have to shoot Biggs or something like that. But
that's old school.
Old school. But the other thing that I have about this, and it says while you perform an attack, you must choose a defender in the closest valid attack range. It doesn't say you must choose the closest defender to you or something like that.
Right.
So are they talking about range? So if you have 2 ships at range 2, one of them is closer than the other one, can you shoot the ship in the back because it's still at range 2?
Yeah.
Right?
Just in the whole band.
You can choose any ship in the whole band. As long as there's no ships in range 1, you can shoot any ship in range 2.
Yeah, let's put it this way. I sure hope that's what that's intended to be, because I don't know about bringing a measuring stick into X-Wing now.
No.
Get your measuring tapes.
I'm assuming they do not want to overcomplicate that. So it's once you figured out what the closest attack range is, you can choose any ship in that attack range. Now let me throw this out at you. What if a ship has primary attack but has multiple arcs? Say an SF that has front and back.
Once again, you choose your weapon. So are you shooting your turret or are you shooting your primary forward arc?
Is that a separate weapon? Because it's
a primary weapon.
Attack.
Yeah, but they're different weapons because if you look at they're not together.
One is on the card. Yeah,
on the card. It's not like a bow tie where it's one weapon that has front and back. It's 2 weapons.
I would agree there for sure.
Yeah, it's a turret and a
Okay, and they have defined front and back arc as well separately on cards, so that does help with that line of thought. It's just when it's dealt with in terms of weapon types, it's all put under primary weapon attack. which is the confusing aspect to it.
Right. All right. Well, we got that first paragraph. Next paragraph. After you perform, that's just the first paragraph, ladies and gentlemen. So next part is after you perform an attack that missed, place a calculate token on this card. And then before you engage, you may remove one of those calculate tokens from this card to gain a matching token. For anybody who's an old first edition player, this is Ray Crew-esque ability just with calculates.
Man, you know who I think this card would be really good on, but it's going to be too expensive to spam, is cluster missile, passive sensors, SFs. So I think the lock requirement of cluster missile gets around the automated target priority, but you're probably going to shoot the person in range 1 or 2 anyways, so not a big deal. But also, you're more likely to miss your second attack, so you just getting free calculates as well.
So I got a question about this one too. So quick draw, if you get shot later on, do you go through the engage again, or you just go straight to attack?
A bonus attack is not engagement.
Correct.
So you would just save it till the next, which is still good.
Well,
you can still get mods on.
But also remember, this is initiative 3 or lower only.
Yep.
Correct.
Oh, it says
That's
that?
an equipment requirement right there. I3 only.
No free calculates for high.
No, get out of here. No.
All the calculates.
No, sir.
Ray, ZZ, I do not want to see this on.
Yeah, I don't want ZZ to opt into not taking a shot and keeping
FFG
focus,
hates
evade,
me.
and calculate.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good on that.
FFG hates us.
So I was...
Marcel, the voice of the people.
I think the next card would probably talk about, or at some point we're talking about them buoys, but
Yeah, we're gonna get to them buoys.
we'll get to those. I'm not gonna jump ahead yet, but remotes was an interesting question for this. That remotes can be defenders, so if you're flying against separatists and they shoot a buzz droid and it's range 2. You have to shoot that buzz droid. It's an eligible defender.
Oh,
Got him.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
rough.
That
Just-
probe droid, 2 banks in the system phase right in front of the joust, and you're like, oh, now I guess I gotta shoot that.
Well, that makes
But
a probe
I have-
droid an actual useful weapon past the initial engagement in this situation, at
Sure.
least.
Yeah. But I've been through my research, or not my research, the good people at the Illuminati and the Euro, whatever, the coalition, I don't know. Anyways, they determined that remotes, now that First Order will be getting remotes, which we'll talk about in just a bit, but if Republic ever got, or I guess Scum could get remotes too. You can see this on the old quad jumpers.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't shoot at your own remotes. So you can't just chase your own remotes around trying to shoot them just to get up calculate tokens. So very, very interesting interactions, I thought, with having to shoot a buzz droid or a probe droid.
All right, cool. So
Is there any scum ship that has? I know the quad jumper has tech slot. Is that it? Because I was thinking, man, if
Yeah,
they can do
no.
R5TK,
No,
and the,
no, they already thought about that.
Which one's our 50K?
the
one
one you
one
can
where you
choose
shoot
friendly
your own.
ships.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, guys.
not yet. Not yet. We're just waiting for
You
it.
just early game take a lock on a friendly ship and purposely roll the good results away and just bank calculates.
Well, no, it's a May remove, so you can stack them.
Mhm.
Very nice.
You can stack them. I think this would be pretty funny on quad jumpers.
Yeah,
I'm
so I got a
excited for it.
question. Like me, I'm a huge fan of advanced optics and pattern analyzer for different reasons. This would have to be a lot cheaper for me to take it over advanced optics. Like we have to talk. I mean, we're talking about. But if it
We
gets
gotta
too cheap,
talk
then you
about
get
this.
calculates. So, like,
I mean-
4 points, I would take optics. 2 points.
not-
This is kind of too cheap.
Is it too cheap at 2 points?
think
That
so.
target priority thing hurts. Like you can't choose what target you want to shoot at. If
My
it's
agency.
dependent on, if it depends on getting points in the game, if all your opponent has to do is put something in front of you that nullifies your ability to gain points in a certain round and just leave with something else. Like that's rough. And there aren't that many effects in the game that are positive right now when you miss. Like Cody assigns a strain when you miss, but that hasn't been super prevalent.
Boss Gunner.
Boss Gunner hasn't been super prevalent. Like the effects that require you to miss, generally people think like, okay, if I hit, awesome. If I miss, here's this other effect that happens. The thing is that none of those effects have ever been that good anyway. Now I assume this won't be 1 point, but
Probably gonna be pretty cheap though.
You're looking at initiative 3 or lower.
Yeah, I think they're going to conservatively put it at 3 to prevent spamming it.
Yeah,
Because that's what I would do. SFs, cluster missiles.
Yeah, I think in
Run 'em all like
generics,
that.
it don't hurt that much to shoot the closest ship. With generics, you usually want to take the best shot anyway.
All right,
I mean, the closest shot.
I
here's
don't think I'd ever take it at 3 points.
your call, Marcel. What tier? Initial prediction. Where do you think this is going to end up?
C.
C. All right. Well, please.
I'll give it a B. No,
are
it's
you
C.
are you being nice to it? Like, make a choice.
Yeah, let's do a C. I think it's nice, but it's gonna.
It's gonna fall out because of the points. All right.
Yeah,
Cool. All right. Last but not least, Will wanted to talk about the buoys. Let's talk about the buoys.
Buoys.
Sensor buoy suite. This is for first order only, and medium and large bases can take it. Take it, Will.
All right, so setup. Before placing forces, so that would be after rocks are down, place 2 sensor buoy remotes. I believe they look like little, like what a regular bomb token looks like, but or about that size. Place them beyond range 2 of any board edge. So you can put them on rocks. You can put them. This is where I put them. Put them on a rock, by the way. Give them an obstructed bonus. Anyways, before you engage, you may acquire a lock on a ship at range 0 to 1 of a friendly sensor buoy, ignoring range restrictions. So you could put them, you can put a rock right, put a couple rocks right in front of the deployment zone, put those buoys right in front of their deployment zones, and if you have a high initiative ship, like say the I-5 Malaris, you could engage before they get to shoot the buoys, and you can get yourself a free lock. You could also put them like hidden in the asteroid field, so when you kind of corral the enemy towards those buoys, you can get a free lock as well. I do think that these are going to be pretty cheap. I wish they would work for your whole squad. And man, the Psi Shuttle is really lacking with that 2 attack dice. And I really think that all these things that give it boost to its attacks just feel really wasted. You guys get that impression?
I can see.
I agree.
Yep.
I think sensor buoy might be a thing on Upsilons, because they can also take biohex scripts since they have 2 tech slots.
Good point.
What is did they already declare? Are these same as all the other stuff? 3 agilities, 1 health, or?
We haven't seen their actual remote card, but
Yep.
we can assume that they're going to be 3 agility, 1 hull. 4 agility if you put them on a big enough obstacle.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If they're depending on their size, you just plop it on
The big old gas
obstacle.
clouds. Give
so-
them obstructed animon.
and,
They're never
a
going to
free
cheat out.
evade, yeah.
This might actually make
But
it so
they-
that the Starkiller base pilot might be played, or at least be a little scarier, being able to get that lock. If you spread it out. Just trying to find like where's the home for this.
I don't know, Tabson.
Yeah,
Of course. Just double down.
Anything. No, because I think almost anything, because it's essentially a free action as long as they don't kill it. because it's an acquire lock. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not take a target lock action.
I do see some combo play here with what was the gold trooper? Oh man, now I forgot already. Pyre, yeah. I think there might be some synergy here between Pyre giving the double stress, and then the buoys as well, and you can kind of send in like a quick attack force and try to jump on somebody. Like maybe these are part of that dormance strategy, I guess.
Mm.
I don't know. I just wish that they worked for more. I wish they had an effect for people other than the carrier of them.
Agreed.
Yeah, and that's why this is probably going to be cheap. If it did have a squad-wide effect like the probe droids, it would be probably much more expensive.
Oh my God! I think this would be. Imagine if it said a friendly ship, or any friendly ship before you engage a friendly ship, or friendly ships at range 0 to 2. That would immediately make it S tier, wouldn't it? If that's what it was.
Well, and that would like it's arguable right now that probe droids are too cheap. I know Will thought that they were going to go up in price, I think, in the last update.
People weren't using them, or haven't been. I don't know why they're not using probe droids.
All right.
Yeah, they're really good.
Will, where are we placing the buoys?
C tier.
C
I love
tier.
them. They're my they're one of my favorite. I love remotes, but man, these are just real bad.
So after going through the cards that we've known so far for the Psi Shuttle, this is our GSP prediction on how they'll lay out. We're going to save this, and we'll come back to it once the Psi Shuttle has been in play a little bit and revisit and find out how wrong we were, and probably also revisit it once we know where the points are, because that can really shift our opinions on it. If something that's really good or that's like usable is like so cheap where it's like, how can you not take it? That could definitely be a reaction, but we'll see what happens there. Now, let me go ahead and look here. Before we jump into our predictions for Dathomir, I want to remind you guys of something. Now, those of you who are watching live, you already know. But those of you who are listening might not know that we stream live every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Thank you guys so much. For those of you who have tuned in, make sure to tune in on this weekend. Like I mentioned earlier, if you just joined us, we have the Dathomir Galactic Championship Qualifier event. Dials down. If you're in America, this might be a better reference. If you're in the United States, dials go down at 4 a.m. Central Time. So that would be 2 a.m. in Los Angeles, 5 a.m. in New York. I'm going to be up nice and early for that one. And, of course, for those of you in London or looking at that London, we start playing at 10 a.m. Player meeting starts at 9 a.m. London time. So hopefully we see you there. Now, let's go over to our we're going to talk about Dathomir a little bit. And rather than trying to go through each list or anything like that, I just want an overall prediction. We got 3 different categories. And if you're watching at home right now, feel free to play along in the chat. Here are the 3 things that we got here. First, what do you think will do well or better? You can answer with a ship, pilot, faction, even upgrade. Feel free, make this fluid. But what is something that you think will perform better? By the way, we're comparing to the established meta, which right now is just Dathomir. That's the only information that we have right now. The second, arrow pointing down. What do you think will do poorly and or worse than it did before? And then a bold prediction. Just something, you know what? Let's go. This might happen. This is what I hope happens. Again, a bold prediction. Marcel, we're going to start with you. What are your predictions? What do you think is going to get better?
A-Wings. I think we're going to see some A-Wings.
Okay.
Somebody's going to do some A-Wings.
Somebody. We don't know. We don't know who, but somebody. Okay.
No, more than somebody. I think they're going to do good.
Why?
So that'll be I just think they're due, especially with the Nantex coming around. All right. So you want all 3 of them right now?
Well, yeah. So why is an RZ2 A-Wing a good answer to Nantex?
Well, I think they're a good answer because they don't have to joust them. They don't have to get bumped by them. They can just kind of take pot shots. They have good time on target. So you can just basically, pop shot them to death, essentially. You've got ZZ Greer not really, but ZZ is probably going to be in your traditional build. It's going to be ZZ Greer, Zari, Ronith, and a blue or two blues or something like that. You're only going to have one that's moving after the Nantex, and it's a good one. ZZ. So ZZ could come in, punch, take advantage of the advanced optics, and then retoken up, and then then the Nantex shoot, and now you have 4 ships that are basically new if they used their token defensively or not, and with the advanced optics, especially Ronith with borrowing a token plus advanced optics with his own, you're going to consistently roll two dice. I mean, 2 results, and the A-wings are fast enough to basically force the Nantex to reposition in order to keep up. So I just think they have a decent matchup. Not a great matchup. It's probably like a 50-50 matchup, but having a 50-50 matchup against the Nantex at this point, I think, is really good. And they generally just have they don't have any bad matchups. I mean, we're doing the Vassal League tournament, which Will and I, like big belts, we're in the final. But in almost every round, they've you get to choose who you don't want to play against, and it's always been the 5 A-wings. Like, nope, we're not playing against 5 A-wings. Nope. So they're due.
All right. So what do you think is going to go worse?
I think the Scum faction in general is going to do worse. I know we had some IGs make the cut and stuff like that. I think the Scum in general is going to do worse. I don't know if it's going to be just less ships, but the way that I phrased it is that a lower percentage of basically if there's 100 players playing Scum, less people will make the cut by percentage than they have before. I don't know how to phrase it.
All right. And then what's your
Scum,
bold
general.
prediction?
Oh, God. So I think my bold prediction is that the Separatist, I'm not saying the Nantex, I'm saying the Separatist. That includes Grievous and friends, or a bunch of droids and bombs and torpedoes. Separatist will not make the top 4.
Oh.
And I think that would probably be the first time in a tournament in all year that they have not been in the top 4.
That is a bold prediction, sir. I like it, though. I like it. So let's get Marcel's opinions there on the big board. There we go. Will, what's going to go better? What do you predict will go better this time?
All right. Jedi. We really didn't see much, if any, Jedi in the cut of Corellia. And I think that is going to be an anomaly going forward. They have the high initiative repositioning skills to deal with the Nantex. They have the dice modifying abilities of the Force to deal with the double stress of Sloane. I just think that there'll be somebody out there who can either match up dodge or something that'll push them through to succeed. And just get into the cut, get a 4-2 or better winning record there into the cut.
All right, worse?
Any swarm who's not I4. We saw some sinkers. We saw some arcs, like Obi-Wan and arcs. We saw the M3As and Fang fighters in the cut in Corellia. And I think that between being spooked by the Nantex difficulties with Sloan and how well I think Europeans fly aces, that these types of swarms will be less successful.
All right, and your bold prediction, friend.
All right, so this is, man, I'm trying to think back here about when was the last time aces won one of our tournaments. We had the Vultures. We had Boba Dengar. Who won the other Space Jam?
Not
You with aces?
Okay, what's the fourth one? No, I know me, but I won the first one.
Sloan. The rack
Sloan,
Sloan,
yeah.
I think.
The Rack Slum. Okay, so it's been since months and months that we saw an aces win a major tournament. Now we've seen players doing well with an ace in their squad, but not like a squad full of aces. And I think that, like I said, maybe I'm overestimating the Europeans, but I think that at some point we will see, maybe not triple ace or like quad ace or something like that, but I do think a list with multiple aces in it can take the win in Dathomir.
all right. My friend Ryan, what are you thinking? What's going to get better?
Someone who was oddly absent from Corellia, but as far as I recall from what we've seen in the UK events before, they like their scum, and this scum pilot didn't get slapped hard enough with the points update. It's Boba Fett.
Okay, yeah.
I think Boba Fett is also a great ship to use against Nantex. Using Slave 1, he can opt out of a lot of those bullseyes, and we know 2-die shots can be very ineffective against Boba when he's in close and range 1. He's got front and back arc. He's got a lot of tools you can equip on him. The key is always, what do you put with Boba Fett to maximize your squad, and not just, I have Boba, I hope he can carry me to victory, which can happen, by the way. Like, I've seen people lose Fen Rouse early, and Boba still carries the day to victory. So he's still a very strong piece, and I think he can do well against Nantex. Even though he is a medium base and more likely to be caught in bullseye, just maximize Slave 1 and you won't be in him.
All right, what's going to do worse?
It's probably something people have thought already, but I think the Nantex will do worse, not just for the sheer fact that they won. They also had other positions in cut. I think it's just the overall results will be worse for two main reasons, because people that are not as experienced will just pick them up thinking that they will get them wins. And other players will be teching against it specifically. So the combination of those two things will mean the overall successful results will be lower on the Nantex. Doesn't mean some won't make cut, but I think the combination of new people potentially trying to pick it up and players that are bringing stuff that they believe is tech against it, or lists that have at least a push or favorable matchup against it, is going to see its effectiveness and results drop.
All right, and your hot take, bold prediction.
Bold prediction is a bigger splash from potentially all types of Falcons, but mostly Rebel and Resistance. We saw Rey towards the end of Space Jam already do well. She still went down in points. She actually fits in some solid 4-ship lists now. It's not just Rey plus 2 anymore. You can do 4 now. And then we saw Han and Lando and Leia. They're all really effective in Rebel. You just got to find the right pieces to put together for the whole list. Arcs that don't need to be pointed forward and back for the joust means that's also something that could be effective against Nantex. Granted, large bases are much easier to be bullseyed, but at least these ones have access to boost. So the Rebel Falcons, any of them, like the specifically Leia, Lando, and Han, all have a good chance to make a good splash, since I believe all the Falcons had seen a reduction. The only scum Falcon would probably be Han if someone tries to do maybe a 4-ship scum with multiple I6s or triple I6s, because you can do Dengar, Fen, Han. Whether or not that's good, I don't know. That's why I'm putting more stock into the Rebel and Resistance Falcons making a bigger splash.
Awesome. All right, now for mine. And I will tell you that I for at least my worst and bold prediction, I went a little bit on the deep end, just for funsies here, just going for the Hail Mary. So what do I think will do better? Save me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think we're going to overall see a Rise of the Republic, similar to what Will was saying, more Jedi. And I think, honestly, if the Jedi we need to see more of is Obi-Wan Kenobi. If we have more Nantex out there, you're going to need that Force ability to recycle those focus tokens. You want to be modifying as much as possible. I think we're going to get more Obi. As for what I think is going to happen or be worse, I think that I'm going to do similar to what Marcel was saying. I think we're going to see less Empire overall. And I'm going to even go as far as to say that the performance overall will be worse as well on the average. And then my bold prediction is quite bold. Quite bold. I believe that a TIE aggressor will make the top 32. I think somebody out there is I think somebody out there is going to prove me right. And make a play with the TIE aggressor. That's what I think is going to happen. Feel free to insert your lulls here. That's my bold prediction. And for the funsies now, of course, we have to do a poll from the different options we have here. Whose predictions do you agree with the most? Whose predictions do you agree with the most? So let me go ahead and move this to a more, I'll just cover my face with it. There you go. And so we'll leave those up for a little bit while we move on to our next target. All right, our next thing. We're going to hit, you know what? We're going to go out of order. We're going to do questions of the week first, and then we'll hit up lists of the week. So since we talked about Nantex a little bit, Qual on our Discord, by the way, if you want to ask questions or submit lists of the week, our Discord channel, look for the submissions only category, and there's a couple of different places where you can submit questions or lists of the week, as well as other things. The question here from Qual was, would you impose an emergency point fix for your event? So we're talking about the Galactic Championships. If it emerged that nearly 100% of all the lists in Coruscant would be spam texts. So the first answer is no. I think it's unlikely, by the way. I think it's unlikely, but no, I'm not touching changing points myself because that's not my job. So, and I think more people would be upset if I went and tried to change points and tried to do something like that than if there were Nantex like all over the place. So, that's what I think. Okay, that's not a real question, but it's a direct answer to somebody's concern, or I don't know how you want to say that. But anyway, here's the next one that I found actually really interesting. So this comes from Naho Che, and here is, I'm going to start, it's kind of like a little bit of a paragraph. It says, I was surprised to see that in the Star Wars databank, it lists the Psi Shuttle as being unarmed, despite the fact that FFG gave it a 2-dice front arc attack in X-Wing. Do you think there is room for support ships with 0 attack dice in the game? Then they gave an example of an Armada ship that has that. And then it says some ships may fit this description, including, and then they listed some other ships that could possibly have no or low attack dice. And then a separate question is, do you think we could ever get a ship that is poorly armed that it has a single attack dice? So we're going to learn a little bit from history here, I think, and also maybe get some opinions here. Ryan, you got a big smirk on your face. Go for it.
I think I'll let Will do this one. I think it's one of his favorite ships he'd like to refer from history.
It is. Oh man! So there, for those who don't know, there was a ship in First Edition X-Wing who had one attack die. It was the Hawk 290, and that was so laughably bad that it never got redemption until later on. They gave it a special weapon, and then it saw some play. Or not. I mean, anyways. So no, never again one attack dice. In fact, when in discussing second edition changes, I believe the developers had called it out of being like, that's ridiculous. It's not a thing. And I think that would continue to ships having no attack dice. Now, we do see remotes. Remotes have no problem having no attack dice, but they're not actually ships. And I just think that the cost of a ship with no way to attack, and I'm like, maybe if it could like suicide bomb and like run into stuff and blow up, that would be different. Like, because then it's like a bomb or something, I guess.
Or kind of like a remote.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. But if it had no way of dealing damage naturally, okay, it would have to be pointed so cheap to be put onto the board that it would unbalance the game, in my opinion. Like if you put, we've seen already what Escapecraft can do with a red coordinate at like 26 points or so. Very useful, and that ship still has 2 attack dice, even though I don't think Escapecraft normally have attack dice either. So, or excuse me, not you know what I'm trying to say. In real canon, I don't think they actually had guns.
Right.
But so yeah, I just think that it'd be, the ship would have to be so inexpensive that it would unbalance whatever faction got it. Is that in your line of thinking, Ryan, or do you go in a different direction?
No, I think you're right. I think it's better to, if something comes up in the future, it's best to treat it as a remote or a non-combative ship. I know that in fan-created game format called Heroes of Artillery Cluster, they have plenty of template-type things that work almost as cardboard on the board that can move around with very strict maneuver types that could work theoretically as a type of pure support or pure effect-only ship. But this is set as a dogfighting game. And just how the rules and how the game has been set up, I think it would disproportionately affect the types of like if the Z Shuttle now had no attack dice, there would be such a weird point structure they'd have to put together around what can go on it in terms of the crew, and not making the crew too powerful, because then they'd go on such a cheap platform, and like it's a high difficulty for game development purposes and balancing, especially if once that's implemented once in a faction, it's difficult for it not to be seen again in the future in some manner.
Man, I'm just imagining if you brought a ship with no attack power, right? No way to deal damage to the opponent's ships, and your opponents just left that ship for the end of the game. Like, what are you doing? Like, go fly off the board because you're not winning this fight.
It's my points fortress, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I disagree with both of you. So, because I mean, there are ships that essentially are that. They might as well not have no arc, like that same escape shuttle. If you're the last ship and Winterfell's on the other end, it might as well fly off the board. It's the same. It's just there's no difference there.
No, but I've seen.
I actually would. I would just saying I would appreciate it. I wouldn't mind the ship that's just sitting out there and having some type of support that's costed. For example, right now the buzz droids and the other things that bounce around, giving you target locks, they don't count towards your total ship count. So I wouldn't mind, some of those being like, okay, you want those things, we're going to throw them on there, but now they're a ship, and they're going to count against your total ship count. So if you want to take two of these little things giving you all this type of benefit, you're only going to spend, the same 4 or 6 points for it, but they're now counting towards your ship count. So that's the way I view it. It's there's still elements that are brought that maybe they're not like a mine or something like walking around, but it might be like a little support ship that's just having like a range 3, benefit towards, and you want to kill it, and when you kill it, you get points for it, but it's not it's there as a support. It's not. It's there as a buffer, as a support, as a healer, whatever you call it. If you're thinking about it from like a gaming perspective, So I wouldn't mind it. I would actually think that's a really good mechanic, and the fact that it can cost the same as a munitions or another support element, just count towards your ship count, I think would be also a benefit to prevent spamming. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think another thing to prevent the spamming, because I do think that needs to address right away, because there's a good chance that on onset nobody uses it because it can't do damage in this scenario. So I think they need to be unique, whatever it is. Like each pilot or whatever this ends up being would need to be unique, or like double pipped, double unique, or something like that. I think that's the way maybe something like that could see play, maybe. And again, there's argument that we do see in other FFG games this mechanic where it's in Armada, it's in Legion, where there are characters or ships that don't directly affect attack themselves. They are not an attacker, but they can affect other parts of the game. But we'll see, right? It's all opinion, and I'm kind of in the middle where I don't know. Maybe with the condition that they are unique or double pipped, I'd be okay with it. That's where I am. All right.
Yeah. I think we can all agree that it's ridiculous that the escape craft and the side shuttle have 2 attack dice, but so does the Z95 and the quad jumper.
Yeah.
Like the Z95 is a legitimate military ship, or the A-wing even.
Yeah.
Like, all those have 2 attack dice. Like, why do they have the same attack power as an escape craft? Or was the pod the transport pod?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that have the same armament as the military vehicle? I think we can all agree it is ridiculous, but
for sure, it's just a game balance thing. There's like nothing less than balance. 2. Ryan, you did win the Golden Death Star for your predictions. We'll see if it comes to fruition, and if you're not correct, you will lose your Golden Death Star. I just want you to know, just in case.
I hope it doesn't blow up.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and move into our list of the week, because we have some interesting ones today, to say the least. So thank you to those who have submitted lists of the week. We're going to start here. Ryan's going to look at Gerbil's list. It is an Empire list. Let's go ahead and pull it up here on screen so that everybody can see. And here's the prompt. I was watching the last X-Wing League Night videos, and it made me laugh. Dion flying all of these TIE aggressors. And then it made me think, what about a Sloane swarm with aggressors? You can't deny the strength of Sloane. We just got to move it around a little bit. So here's the list. We got the Initiative... Oops, where's my mouse? It's in the Initiative 1 TIE Reaper with Admiral Sloan and shield upgrade. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Signar Specialist. That's the Initiative 2 TIE Aggressor with dorsal turret sitting at 192 points. You got 8 points for flavor there, Ryan. What are your thoughts?
8 points is a lot of space.
Agreed.
There's 2 routes I'm taking. We're leaving all the aggressors as is. We're bringing 5 with dorsal. The difference is going to be, first thought I had was we're just going to take that Scarif-based pilot and turn it into Captain Faroff. Not as well known. As a reminder for the ability, it's while you defend, if the attacker does not have any green tokens, which would be after they have already modified their dice. So if they choose to spend their focus offensively, it is now not there anymore. You may change one of your blank or eyeball results to an evade. So it's like an automatic evade without needing to take an evade token.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very tanky. You can maintain the shield upgrade. You don't particularly need a bid. That takes you right up to 200. The other thing you can do is completely instead of the Reaper, these aggressors do naturally have the target lock action. So, and we know that in the past, we've seen the Lambda Shuttle be used for a Sloan carrier. For 60 points as well, you can have Colonel Jendon with Admiral Sloan and passive sensors so that Jendon can also get the lock. You have reinforce, you have a better coordinate platform, and early game, all those aggressors can get locks on whatever ship or ships they'd want to have the locks for future use. So not only do you have the rerolls set up early game with your locks from Jendon, but you also have, as Sloan effect comes into play, you have native reroll, well, not native, but you have the passive sort of set reroll from Sloan's ability from opposing ships being stressed.
All right, there we go. So you end up with the...
John, is this why you did your bold prediction?
No. 5 Synars with dorsal turret and Jendon passive sensors, passive sensors and Admiral Sloan. I think I like this one better than the Faroff one. Going in with a target lock seems pretty solid and spreading it around the list. But all right, cool. Very nice. Next one, the Argyle Albatross sent us a resistance list that Will's going to take a look at here. Here's the prompt. I've flown this a few times, and I've used, let's see, he had a little bit of a different build for a while, and he thought that having double mods in the A-Wings when going all in seems like a good idea. It's kind of hard to resist Nodin handing out a coordinate, focus, and reroll with M9G8. What do you think, Will? Here's the list. We have Lulo, ZZ, and Tally. Those are 3 Initiative 5, right? They're all Initiative 5, right? Yeah, all 3 Initiative 5 A-Wings, but all 3 of them with heroic and proton rockets. Then we have Nodin in the transport with Perceptive Co-Pilot, M9G8, by the way, for those of you who don't remember, that's a droid that when you are locking a friendly ship, you may choose one of the attack dice and re-roll. You can have your friendly re-roll it. You could also use it on an enemy, but it's usually people use it on their friendlies. Electronic Baffle, in order to get rid of a stress to do an action. Essentially, is the reason for that. During the end phase, you may suffer 1 damage to remove one of your red tokens. And then PZ4C0? Not sure which one that is. And that is a crew card that says it adds calculate action to your bar, and at the end of the activation phase, you may choose 1 friendly ship at range 1 to 2. If you do, transfer 1 calculate token to that ship. If your revealed maneuver is blue, you may transfer 1 focus instead. Ryan, what are you doing with this interesting list? I've never seen Nodin in a competitive list. How are we going to make this work?
Well, so I do enjoy... I didn't get it at first because I'm not familiar with PZ. 4C0, that when you perform a maneuver, you can pass a calculate token, and it's calculate. If your real maneuver was blue, that's how you can transfer that focus token. So coordinate, double focus, transfer the focus at the start of it, or the end of the activation phase with a little bit of board knowledge. And he was saying that Nolan essentially doesn't do anything other than hand out all those actions. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to keep the I-5 Prockets for now, and suggest just trying, so switch out the Droid and Perceptive for R4 and Corsella. I'll give you a second here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and then when you're done with Corsella and R4, you can put an ion cannon on it as well. So this is going to give you a similar ability to coordinate, and this way you won't have to be using Baffle to hurt yourself. You are going to lose the reroll, but you're still able to then get at least a coordinated focus token and then still be able to hand out a focus token because you took it yourself. Plus also this is going to free up your dial significantly, letting you actually keep up with the A-Wings. I think that might actually be the problem with trying to fly the transport with these A-Wings, is that they're going to go fast and Noden's going to go very, very slow.
They're going to be A-Wings and you're not going to be an A-Wing.
Yeah, you're not going to be an A-Wing. I mean, I definitely can see how this could work, because Noden's going to draw the attention. Everyone's going to be like, well, we'll just fly with that slow ship, and that can give you time to get in your A-Wings into position. I just don't like the... I don't want my A-Wings hanging out with a transport, essentially, because it makes the A-Wings too predictable about where they can go and what they can do. I do like this build, though. You got a 3-point bid, so you can line up those Prockets better, and you're still keeping most of the coordinating abilities. But, all right, so I'm going to go out on a limb, though.
Oh.
And we're going to drop Noden.
Oh.
Because they were asking for a different kind of support ship. And oh boy, do I have one. So we're going to drop that, and we are going to drop the Prockets. I know it was kind of the build, but trust me. Oh, I got something up my sleeve. If you drop the Prockets, we can get Rey with Admiral Holdo in there.
Nice.
Give everybody to pick their jaw up off the floor. But so Holdo Rey. It is sad that I only have the 1 point. I might actually drop the title. I might actually drop Heroic off of Lulo to get that title on Rey, because I do love the title on Rey. But this is going to provide a way to coordinate, because everybody's I-5. Rey can activate first and give that focus to somebody when they need it. Okay. But it also, I love the interaction of ZZ and Rey with Holdo, to where if ZZ is not going to be shot at, and it didn't need to spin the focus, these ones don't have optics, so most likely will could still have the focus token. Rey could actually steal the evade token or focus from ZZ after ZZ gets to shoot then too. So I think it adds some flexibility in your coordinating, and gives you a real heavy hitter to distract your opponent by, essentially. Because you can't, even though this raid doesn't have Finn and Rose and all those other things, you can't deny a well-modified Falcon out there who potentially could be stealing evades from these A-Wings as well.
Oh, yeah. I like that. So we have Lulo, Naked, ZZ Tally, both with Heroic, and then Rey with Holdo and Rey's Millennium Falcon. I like the limb. I like this one. I like this one better than the Noden. All right, and our last list of the week here is from Goopa Noopa. It's a Rebel list. Marcel's going to take a look at it here. It says, "Hey there, GSP. This is a casual squad that my friend made for me, and I've sort of edited to my liking. It was originally focused on the idea of having lots of token passing and action shenanigans, and I quickly found out that the combos I had created broke quickly as ships started dying. This list by no means is tournament ready, but I would love to see how you guys can turn a C-tier squad into something that is actually good." So we have Lando Calrissian with K2SO crew, 9 nub, hull upgrade and shield upgrade, 10 nub with stabilized S-foils and hull upgrade, and then Jake in the A-wing with marksmanship, daredevil, and proton rockets. All right, Marcel, get out the saw or the scalpel. It's time to trim some fat, move some things around.
Yeah. All right. So I think the first one is to make it just more competitive, and still having a lot of actions or a lot of tokens or a lot of mods. So the simple change that I had for that, in order just to accomplish that, to basically make it better in that regard, is to take 10 num out of it.
Okay.
Drop the proton rockets. Those I like proton rockets, but we don't need it. And add Luke Skywalker. Luke. Luke.
And you're at 199.
So at 199. So you can just leave it like that. Well, actually, no. Change that Daredevil to Intimidation, and turn. You can leave it like that, but I'm a huge fan of. I like my Intimidation, Arvel, and I like it with Lando because Lando can coordinate him, and at Initiative 5, he's in Initiative 3, but at Initiative 5, you can choose, to slam into somebody if they were, or barrel roll slam into someone as long as you don't stress them. And what am I at now? Because you still got Jake in there. So
you wanted me to change it to Arvel? Okay, sorry.
Arvel, yeah.
Yes, you're at 198 at the moment.
Yeah, 198. So I mean, you can essentially leave it like that, but to make it more tanky, you can take the shield and the hull upgrade off, and turn that into R2 with Luke, and you still get that effect with, with basically having all the mods and all the tokens, because Luke has an infinite amount of. Did
you mean
force,
R2D2
basically.
or R2? Just wanted to make sure. Which one did you want? By your
R2.
pronunciation, it sounded like you wanted R2D2. Like you said, like R2, not R2. So which one did you want?
One of them,
either. Make a choice, man.
Regen. You've got regen. That's what counts. So you can leave it like that. And this alone, just with Lando having multiple tokens, basically he'll have be able to give a calculate to somebody, maybe Arvel. Or Luke. I mean, you're still gonna have all the tokens that you want, but Luke is going to be a much better ship than 10 num. Arvel will make Lando's and Luke's shots matter more. You can ram them into somebody, moving at Initiative 5. So you still get a lot of nice, a lot of fun stuff. But I'm actually, can you reset it? We're actually gonna do something a little bit different with it, because
guys are getting carried away. Everybody's doing 2. here's the first way. Here's the second way. All right, there. Reset.
Content. Respect the process. So actually, this is super easy. So. In this case, again, hate to be the hater on one of these ships, but let's get rid of Jake. So we don't need Jake in this version.
Gone.
Yeah, we're going to keep it super simple on this one. We don't need that hull upgrade. Actually, get rid of every upgrade except the stabilized thing and Yen Num. Those are the only 2 upgrades you really need.
All right, there you go. 67.
All right, awesome. We got a ton of points. A lot of play. So go and take one of William's favorite ships, the Hawk 290.
William's like don't bring me into this.
Oh yeah,
All right.
I know he loves them some Hawk. Janors. Get another Initiative 5 in there. with Moldy Crow. Got enough points for it.
Okay.
Then you might run into some Nantex, so let's put some proton bombs in there. And finally, I love engine upgrade on Janors, especially when he's got Lando, trying to chase Lando around. So you want those boosts to be white so that he can stress himself. And that should come in at 199.
You said engine upgrade on the Hawk. Sorry.
On Jan.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I put it on the
on
wrong
Janors.
one.
So
Got it.
Janors
Yeah,
can-
199.
Yeah, so Jan can keep up with the other one, and it's just at that point you're going to have a double modded shot either from Lando, target lock focus, because Lando's basically giving himself 2 actions. 10 numb is going to have a target lock and then focus from the ability, and Janors can also come in with a target lock focus because she's walking around with those 2 focuses that she's banked, and one of those is going to be 4 at range 2 or 3 or 5 dice at range 1, and yeah, I mean this all of them can have the potential to be double modded, and you're shooting a bunch of dice.
All right. So we end up with Lando with 9 nub, 10 nub with just the S foils, and Janors with Proton Bomb, Moldy Crow, and Engine Upgrade. And I went a completely other way with this. I did play around with this one, and I stripped it down completely and just tried to get 2 strong ships in there. I kept Lando with K2SO and 9 nub, and then just went Braylon naked, Wedge with just S foils. You got 2 points to play with. That's a third way we could go with it as well. Just another idea. I think just one of the things in what was his name again? Goopa Noopas. He was it looked like he was afraid of taking damage. You could see all these hull upgrades and shield upgrades, and those are nice for sure, but there were points to be used there that could get you better ships and just better tech overall. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I want to thank everybody who watched live and listened or watched later on. You guys are absolutely awesome. Any shout outs before we go? Will? Ryan? Marcel? Anything?
Just talking beef to the Europeans.
Oh,
Better be bringing it.
all right.
On Dathomir. This is your home planet. If I don't see a European win it, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
They don't let us fly over there in person, so we have to go there digitally.
That's right. And make sure to watch Squad Up, yeah? Subscribe.
Oh yeah, I didn't know I was up. Yeah. One month left to go. I've planned some content up until that point. Once the game comes out, I'll be doing videos for each campaign mission that I'll play through, and plenty of content after the game comes out. We're breaking down the ships and cool builds and the maps. Looks great. A new trailer was just released this past week from the Gamescom opening night live. That was awesome. Got to see some more story content, and one of the locations that was almost a complete mystery to us until we saw it in the trailer.
Awesome. I'm super excited. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get myself a VR headset, but I don't know which one it is going to be. I don't know. I think I might have to, though. It just looks way too cool. Anyway, thank you so much again for joining us. Thanks for watching, listening, and hopefully we see you here live on Twitch in the future, Monday, Wednesdays, Saturdays. Gold Squadron Dathomir is this weekend. Tune in. Out.